Hello, this is Cindy Mazzaferro, and I'm so excited for you to join us today. I have a really great special friend, Adrienne. She is remarkable, and she's going to tell you quite a lot about herself and what she does in this world and how many people she impacts. Let me tell you a little bit about Jean. She's the creator of InnerSpeak, a tool of clearing karmic and ancestral blocks. She is author of 4 books and 2 decks of metaphysical oracle and inspirational cards. She hosts her weekly internet television show called Power Talk every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on New Earth International. Jean offers private sessions via phone or Skype and in her office as well in Georgia. So welcome, Jean, and I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Cindy. You know, you have been such a wonderful support and help for me over the last 6 months. And I so appreciate you. So thank you for all you do for me, for the world, and for having me on with you today.
Well, thank you for saying that, and I consider you a very dear friend, and you helped me as well in many different ways, being speakers on my summit as an expert. So we're all connected in many, many ways. So let's first, if you don't mind, talk briefly about your InnerSpeak work. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. I know some, but tell the audience what you do and what is InnerSpeak.
Sure. Well, I would have to say that InnerSpeak is my life's work, and it came into me through channel in 2002. I had no earthly idea, A, what a channel was, B, that I was one. And I'm driving down the road one night and I hear a voice in my car talking to me, and I almost wrecked the car. It was like, what? Because I'd never heard voices before. And basically, that was a pivotal moment for me, because the message was that it was time for me to bring in my life's work, for me to really stop doing what I was doing and start doing the work of spirit. And of course, immediately, because I am who I am, I began to argue. It's like, wait a minute, don't take my work away from me. Don't take my job away unless you got something better. Silence. And it took me a while to really open and receive this work. And then it still took me another good 5 or 6 years to actually leave my corporate job and start doing my coaching and clearing work full time. Again, because I am quite stubborn.
Well, I think we all experience fear in our life, and it's like going into an unknown is a scary thing.
And it really wasn't so much about going into the unknown and was I going to be able to make money at it or whatever. It was health insurance that held me back for the longest time. I was like, oh my God, if I quit my corporate job, I will have no health insurance.
And that's a big
finally, I just decided, you know what, this is what I have to do. And so I went without health insurance for about 5 years until I actually reached the lovely age of 65 where I could go on Medicare. So, and I was really lucky and blessed that I had no serious health problems. Part of the reason why I didn't do commercial health insurance was because I only do alternative medicine anyway. So, it wasn't going to pay for the things that I needed. Now, had something catastrophic happen during that time, that could have really been a problem. But, that's another story for another day. And I think trust and faith has a lot to do with making sure that we are taken care of, because we always are taken care of by Source. Right. But anyway, so I received this healing modality, and I literally sat in front of the computer for 3 months because the job that I was working at went bankrupt. Like right when all this was happening.
How
I had
convenient.
nothing better. Yeah, spirit will drag us kicking and screaming sometimes. And I sat in front of a computer for 3 months and basically received information and typed. And at the end of the day, I had this body of work that consisted of 144 files of information.
Wow.
And it's a book that's about this thick. It weighs about 10 pounds actually in the little, briefcase thing that I carry it around in. Next time I channel a healing modality, I'm going to do it like my good friend Dee Wallace, and it's going to be on 5 pages of paper. That I can put on a little ring thing and flip them around, and So I don't have to lug big, heavy books. But hey, it is what it is. So what InnerSpeak is like a language of the soul. Our soul is talking to us all the time. We just don't know the language. Or like me, you think, well, I'm just making that up. That's just the monkey chatter that runs around in my head all the time, my imagination. And if we knew the language, if we could understand what spirit was saying to us, what our soul was saying to us, we would have no issues. We would be healthy, wealthy, wise, gorgeous, you name it. We would have it all, because that really is what is our destiny. But because we don't know the language, we keep on doing it our way, the hard way, the hard-headed way. And, we end up racking up pain and wounds and, loss and lack and relationships that don't work, etc.
Right.
So, yeah. So InnerSpeak is like a language that enables me to assist a person in hearing what their soul wants them to know about what's holding them back.
Can you give us an example?
Well, yeah. We create our reality all the time with every thought, with every word. And so we create all of these obstacles for ourselves. So what InnerSpeak can do, and I'm going to actually show you an example in a moment, but what it can do is it can take you to a place where you set up the particular block that's holding you back that you want to let go of. And it will tell you when that happened, what were the setup things around that, what was the stuck belief you internalized, what did this do to you at the soul level, what did it do to your soul? And then once you've identified the story, of course, we're not that story, but we have to have a reference point for working with something to let something go. So once you've identified the story, then it tells you what you need to do to clear it away, to let it all go. And so at the end of an InnerSpeak session, it's gone. Whatever it is cleared away once and for all, unless you choose through your free will to bring it back. And, you can, of course, do that. And being the hard-headed one, I've done that before. So,
Well, and this brings up how life has a way of repeating itself because we're not learning the lessons we're supposed to be learning and growing. And so we could talk about something personally for you, but I want to get back to the InnerSpeak and have you actually give us that example. How can you share that with us now, maybe in our times, what's going on?
Absolutely. So, well, first let me tell you that this body of work that I use, that's what I use with my clients.
Right.
And, a session with me takes about an hour to go through all of these files. But my guides told me way back in the day, they said, Jean, there are so many people that could benefit from your work that will never call you for a session because they won't understand what you do. They won't read a book if you write a book about it. They won't take your classes because they, again, won't understand what you do. But if you make a deck of cards, then they will play with cards because people play with cards.
Right.
Everybody loves oracle cards. And so they showed me how to create a deck of cards. And, it's called InnerSpeak cards. And these cards, there are 7 different colors. So there's a little mini deck of a red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, the colors of the rainbow. Each one of them aspects a separate sort of the file structure from the large InnerSpeak protocol. So by playing with these cards, you can do a clearing that is fast. It's easy. It's almost like a game. You can't screw it up. And it will clear away a block. So I was thinking that since we're in a brand new space of energy, Monday of this week was the equinox. And boy, this equinox is ushering in some beautiful, powerful new energy. We literally are at a resurrection place, if you will, for our souls, of moving into the 5th dimension fully and letting go of this old 3rd dimensional grid that doesn't serve us anymore. It's literally falling apart around us. And people who are so attached to 3D are experiencing that right now. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. So what I wanted to do is to do an InnerSpeak clearing for everyone who is watching this. No matter when you watch it, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching it later, it doesn't matter because there is no such thing as time. So I'm going to do a clearing that will help us to shed some of the limiting beliefs and blocks that are holding us stuck on third dimensional reality so that we can actually, open up our wings and fly into this higher vibrational possibility that is the potential for all of us. And it will happen whenever we're supposed to do it. Each of us is different. So let's just take a moment, surrender to spirit, and ask for help.
Beautiful. This is going to be wonderful.
All right. So the first cards I'm going to use are the red cards. And I'm just going to shuffle them up a little bit, take any old energy off of them. And I'm going to pull one of these red cards, and it's going to tell us where we set up a block that's holding us back from actually stepping into a higher reality. And it says it's something that happened in this lifetime.
Okay.
So is it the same sort of time frame for everyone who is watching this? Yes. I'm muscle testing, as I do this. So were we under the age of 10 when we created this block? Yes. Were we under the age of 5 when we created this block? Yes. Were we under the age of 4? No. So sometime around 4 to 5 years old is where we began to set up a limitation for ourselves. Usually we'll have to do with fear, because I think fear is what's holding people back from stepping into the new reality, just like insurance was holding me back from getting into my passion and doing that for a living, which has been highly successful for me ever since I had the courage to do it. The other thing I would say about age 4 is that is when a child's brain is maturing enough to the point that they can tell the difference between what's real and what's not real. Because up to about age 4, a child believes that everything around them is the truth.
Right.
So they pick up a lot of stuff from their environment, from the things they hear people saying or see people doing, and they believe it's true. Mm-hmm. And they take it on as a truth and as a belief. It might not necessarily be true. All right. So moving on, the second group of cards are the orange cards, and these are the setup cards. So let's shuffle these to get all old energy off of them. And I'm going to pull 2 of these. So let's see what the setup was for each of us around age 4 to 5. And this one. Oh, and this one. I know I just dropped one of them.
These cards are beautiful, by the way. I love them.
Thank you. All right. So the first card that I pulled said broken heart. Mm-hmm. So something happened that caused us to have our little hearts broken when we were, less than 5 years old. The second card says denied infidelity. And as I'm saying that, what this means to me is that at that point, something happened to each of us that hurt us deeply and caused us to deny our truth. It might have been denied infidelity in a marriage, a parent's marriage or something like that. But that's really, I don't believe, what the pivotal incident is here. This is where we set up this thing about trying to be what we thought other people wanted us to be, mm-hmm. and not owning our truth. Okay? So let's see what this did to us at the soul level. So the yellow cards are the soul reaction cards. And
so I just want to go back to that infidelity. So you're talking about that we weren't being trustworthy or faithful to our own self.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
We were at that formative time of beginning to figure out what was true and what wasn't true. Mm-hmm. We didn't trust it, or maybe we were afraid if we spoke our truth, we would get punished or be laughed at or not accepted. Who knows? So yeah, I think that's what this is all about. And so the soul reaction card that we're dealing with says your instincts and your self-worth have been wounded. Mm-hmm. So that's really what happened to us at age 4. And there is a stuck belief. So the blue cards are the belief cards. So let's see what the inappropriate belief is that we internalized at that point.
You notice, everyone, these are super easy to use. And you see, if you purchase Jean's cards and decks, that this is really something you can use all the time. And with your children and family members, it's not just for yourself.
Absolutely. And the stuck belief card says, I'm not taken seriously. Mm-hmm. So not only did we stray away from our truth, but we began to feel like people didn't accept us for our truth because it wasn't our truth. Make sense?
Right.
I mean, how many of us, all y'all out there, raise your hands. How many of us have done that? It took me 60 some odd years to let go of all of those roles that I had taken on for myself that weren't my truth.
I think that's so true. And I think a lot of us have to deal with people don't respect our opinions, or we might make an offer of whatever guidance, and you feel like it's just thrown away. So there's that insincerity of what value, what worth we bring, and that comes from that initial wounding, like you say.
Exactly. All right, so we've identified a story here, but we're not our story. We never are our story. Mm-hmm. So we're going to clear it. So the green cards are clearings. So I'm going to pull 3 of the green cards, and we're going to do together what they say. And one more. This one. I was having a hard time deciding, but that one. Okay. So
when I ask you a quick question, because your hands are lower than the camera. So when you shuffle, how do you decide what 2 or 3 cards you're going to pick? Is it the first 3 on top? Do you pull?
Everybody does it differently. I look at them and a card will glow to me. I'll see it and I'll feel it and I'll know that that's the one. Mm-hmm. Some people run their hands over the cards and they feel the energy in the palm of their hand.
That's what I tend to do. Or a card might fall out of the shuffle.
Exactly. Some people muscle test over each one. Like I muscle tested to find the age, and they'll touch each one and muscle test to see if that's the card for them. All right. So the first thing I want us to do is we've got all these old limiting beliefs that really are not our truth, and they're stuck. It's energetic debris that's stuck inside our field and inside our body even. And we need to let those go. They look like gray, kind of gnarly areas of energy to me. That's how I see them. Each of us would probably do it differently. I just want everybody to close their eyes and just scan themselves, inside body, outside in the field, find all the areas of old stuck energy, and just ask God and the angels to take them to the light, or you can command them to go to the light, whatever works for you. And just kind of like allow this stuff to spin out of your field. Good. And now what I want you to do is I want you to travel back in time. Go back through your adulthood, teenage years, childhood, back to somewhere around age 4, just before, not 5 yet. And I want you to find you. So little Cindy, little Jeannie, go find that aspect of you. And I want you to help that aspect of you to forgive whoever it was that broke your little heart. To forgive whoever it was that made you not feel like you were taken seriously, like that you weren't worthy, that you weren't right, that you weren't good enough. All those old beliefs, forgive them all. And then help that little aspect of you to forgive himself or herself. Because for some reason, we took it on that they were right and we weren't. And that's how our self-worth got wounded. And now I want you to pretend like that you're looking in a mirror. And in this mirror, you're going to see your little self, your 4 or 5-year-old self. And I want you just to gently blow on that mirror and blow that image away. And as you do, you're going to be able to see who you really are, how beautiful, how powerful, that wonderful being of light, that uniqueness that is you, your truth. And take a deep breath in and let it go. And we still have more beautiful InnerSpeak work because there is the violet deck. If I could pick the card up, it's just like stuck to my countertop. There we go. And so the violet cards are the blessings that you receive from the angels for doing this work. So let's see what our blessings are. I'm going to pull 3 of these violet cards for all of us today because this is some powerful stuff we've just done. Might seem like it was easy, but the first card says, return of your authority, power, and confidence. The second card is a healing. We each received a healing from our awakened inner.
Great.
And there's one more. That would be this one. And the final card, the final angel blessing card, is centeredness and calmness, that enables you to see and accomplish your divine purpose, what it is that you came here to do in this lifetime. And so it's gratitude that owns every clearing. So just take a moment now and give thanks to your angels, to your teachers, to your guides, to all those of the light who are supporting us on our journey. Thank them all. Yeah. So that's really kind of a very fast example of how InnerSpeak can get down to the nut of something that we, I'm sure, forgot about. You know, right. I mean, half of us probably
forget about it because we don't want to remember that. First of all, it's too hard to remember back when we were 4 or 5.
Right.
But it's our mind doesn't let us remember because it's painful. That's why we were hurt and wounded. So
exactly.
I love that it was just that blow on that mirror. To me, it was like, wow, I could just blow that away. It's just a memory.
It is.
How can it really affect me physically here, emotionally here, mentally here, unless I choose to? So I love that it was just so easy to just let that go, blow it away.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something I'd like to talk about how that kind of stuff affects us. And it's just an illusion, but it affects us physically. So, you know, you and I have been working on an accident that I had happen to me back in October. And as one of the gifts out of that, and you know, there's always a gift, there's a blessing in every lesson. And my body has started talking to me about why this happened and how powerful our bodies are. You know, I mean, I've been telling people for years that the body will heal itself if that's the choice of the soul and if we get out of the way and allow it to happen. And my body stepped into her power literally the night before I was supposed to have my eye removed. And she was like, whoa, we're not going to let this happen. And, you know, from not being able to see anything out of my left eye for 4 months, the night before the surgery, I started being able to see light. She had to get my attention so I wouldn't allow the surgeon to remove my eye so that she could continue to do the work and, you know, step into her power, because my body wants to be a teacher. She wants to show all the other bodies out there how powerful they are. You know, the body's a denser thing than we are at a soul level. So it takes the body a little bit longer to wake up and to move into this ascension energy than we do as a soul.
Yes, I love this. So I'm just going to back up because I know the story, but hearing you say it, you might not know it if you're listening to this audio here, the visual, that Jean actually had 3 incidences where she damaged her eye. Her last accident, she fell. And she actually impaled her eye, big cut through her eye, and totally had lost her vision. Mm-hmm. So that's what Jean was then finally saying at the end, where she didn't have any sight for 4 months, very painful, her eye scratchy, irritated, painful. Mm-hmm. And they were scheduling her to have her eyeball removed because there would be no sight to ever be restored, according to doctors.
Yeah. And, you know, and my body had been trying to get my attention since the first fall, you know. But I didn't get the message, you know, and even though, and I was doing sessions on myself, trust me on that, you know.
And when Jean and I spoke privately and just personally, you know, she would tell me the stories and she says, you know, my foot got tangled in some wire here, and I tripped and fell. And then the next time I tripped on something else and I hit my head up here, knocked me in the head, like, you know, close to the eye. And she kind of like was processing, well, maybe it was because her daughter was going through something that was impacting the frontal part of her brain area. And she was trying to put this all together because of her work that she's been doing. Right. And as we talked, and you know, Jean does a lot of InnerSpeak work herself, she was trying to come up with this understanding what's going on. And we started talking about that everything has to do about not speaking from within, but seeing from within. So as you look to reveal your own voice in speaking terms, she needed to find her inner vision. And when she found that inner vision, that inner wisdom, her physical sight was also restoring, which was
and
really,
still is.
and it still is.
It's a process. It's absolutely a process.
And I've got to really acknowledge Jean's faithfulness. Her, she was never despaired and destitute to think, oh my gosh, my life is, I can't live like this, I mean, it's, oh my God, this is awful. This is the end of everything. She always was looking for, what is the lesson here? What can I take away? Why am I going through this path? So that I can learn and grow and move into a new part of my journey. And so for all of you that are experiencing some physical dysfunction in your life, disease, acute episode, a chronic situation you have, I encourage you all to look within what could be an underlying cause of that. And I also do energy work, different than what Jean's doing, but there's always an underlying energetic connection to what is coming out in a physical form. And the physical form is kind of like the last ditch effort to knock us in the head, to get our attention, to say something's amiss inside. And that's what we need to refocus on and learn that information so we can address that. And Jean's cards, that Oracle deck was just wonderful in helping to fine tune, kind of get you targeting the area you might need to awaken to and look at. So
it's a tool. It's a tool, it's not the only tool. There are lots of tools, but it's just an easy one that I think, helps people to do their work, so.
And I like the levity of it. I like the easeability of it, because I think people think, oh my God, I don't want to go to a psychiatrist. I'll be going for hundreds of years, a long time to try to resolve my past, my problems. And I think we make our problems so big, that give them so much energy, so much volume, that we magnify them.
Oh, absolutely we do. Every time you tell that story, it takes on more energy and more growth, and especially now, as we're moving into this new energy that has just come on this planet in the last few months, we're manifesting from our thoughts and our words much faster than we ever did before. So every time you tell that story, you're making it happen again, or bigger, or in a different way.
You're feeding it. You're kind of thinking you're perpetuating that energy, that belief, that behavior, even the outcome. I've always never had enough money to go on a vacation. Well, the more you say that, the more you'll never have money to go on vacation.
Yeah, cancel clear that.
Cancel clear, that's not me. But whatever it is that you put your energy towards, you're creating that, kind of like making a pie, a cake. You're creating that. And it's amazing. I think people don't realize the power that we have within ourselves. I wrote a book called Powerful Beyond Measure that talks about this power within. And Jean has 4 books she's written. And it's all about this inner strength and power and wisdom and sight.
Yes.
That's all part of our spirit, our soul, and connection to a greater creator that makes us so remarkable, so magnificent.
Exactly. But it's only been in the last few years that I have come to understand how, I, as a being of light, a soul, I've got this mission, this purpose, this uniqueness. My body does too. This is a holographic universe. So it only makes sense, Thoth said this thousands of years ago, as above, so below. It only makes sense that if I've got a soul, well, this body probably has a soul. Every cell in this body has a soul. Even in the Bible, St. Paul talks about that we're all cells in the body of Christ.
Oh, I love that.
And, so he points that out too. And so therefore, I've got this companion that I travel with that is my body. And my body is starting now to wake up. She finally got my attention. And, I'm working with her to support her in waking up as well. But she's got to do the work. And just like I've had to do the work, just like you have to do the work, And so now that I've started listening to her, boy, the first thing she told me, I'm standing in front of the mirror, I'm blow drying my hair. I've got a blow dryer in one hand, a round brush in the other, and I hear, please write my book. I'm like, what? And she said, yeah, I need you to write my book, and I want you to call the book The Sentient Body, and I'll tell you what I want it to say. And so I'm actually in the process of writing a book now called The Sentient Body, where my body's talking about what's true to her. So that can be shared with other bodies. And some of the stuff that I'm learning is that the body has a very organized filing program. And, the body's listening all the time. When you're in conversation, and even if you're not in conversation, but you're standing around and there's somebody in the background that's talking about, whoa, that woman's got a big ass, or whatever. The body hears that and takes that personally. It's an emotional wound. Oh, he thinks I have my butt is too big. I'm too fat. I'm not good enough. Da, 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 da. Okay. So that's just an example. If you're in actual conversation with somebody and they say something hurtful to you that hurts you at the heart level, and maybe they didn't even mean to, but your body hears it. And a lot of times when people say things that are hurtful to us, we go into denial and we dismiss that. And we think, oh, they didn't really mean that, or whatever. The body takes them very literally, and it grabs that wound, that hurt, and it stores it. So those kind of emotional wounds, sometimes they'll store them in the heart center. And the body's very organized about where it puts it. And it will store things in one of two filing cabinets, in the chakra system and in the acupuncture meridian points, in which we got 14 acupuncture meridians and hundreds and hundreds of points. And each of those points has a different kind of charge on it, where the body can store things that have emotional things that resonate with that particular charge in them. And additionally, because we have energetic bodies, we have an emotional, a mental, and a spiritual body besides our physical one, and probably more even outside that.
Right.
Well, you've got chakras in each of those, and you've got acupuncture meridians in each of those. So if you go back to one of the clearings that we did, which had to do with removing stuck energy, some of that stuff was out in our field. It wasn't just randomly out in our field. It was in an acupuncture meridian point or a chakra in one of your energetic bodies. Go figure that.
Yeah.
So the body's very clear about how it puts stuff and where it puts it. And because the acupuncture meridians and the chakra systems each also relate to an organ or a gland inside your physical body, you store enough wounds in the chakras or in the acupuncture meridians, well, guess what? You're going to get sick. You're going to actually manifest physical dis-ease at the level of the organs and the glands in the body.
You're speaking my language. I totally agree with this. I mean, I'm a physical therapist, an energy worker. I see this over and over again. And, I know you probably know too, but for our listeners, Dr. Emoto, he's now deceased, almost a year, did fabulous work on looking at frozen water.
Right.
And how our positive and negative thoughts, feelings, words, music, electronics, how that can, and even prayer, and how that can impact the frozen water crystals and deform them with negative aspects, and even from a deformed water crystal, even heal it, even create this beautiful crystal again that's perfect in every form. So we are made up of a lot of water in our body.
Yes, we are.
And we have cells throughout our body. So to me, this is just perfect sense and has such resonance with that we are impacting on a very cellular level, creating our own wounds. It's like when someone says something verbally insulting to you, it's like us allowing a dagger to go into that cell, into that organ, meridian, chakra area. You're changing the cellular, hormonal, chemical balance, energetic balance there. And that, if you don't resolve it, if you don't clear it, heal it, it's going to continue to mount and mount and mount. and the sore gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like you're picking the scab off, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And eventually, the wound doesn't stay inside. It starts to manifest outside in a physical way, and therefore we start to get a physical symptom.
That's right. And, one of the things that my body has told me is that every organ and gland inside our body has its own unique purpose, its own unique mission. There's something that it's supposed to do for us that nothing else can do. And so what happens is when it gets wounded, then it can't do what it's supposed to do. But the body wants homeostasis. Mm-hmm. So for example, if your heart is wounded, your body will recruit another organ to try to do what the heart's supposed to do, which is help you to learn to accept love and to accept things that can't be changed and let them go and that kind of thing. So then what happens is whatever that recruited organ is, it's going to get wounded too because it gets pulled off of its direction. And it just goes on and on and on.
Right. Well, just like eyes have a direct connection to the liver, anger.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, so for like Jean, she may explore, well, then what am I angry about that I didn't see or that I did see that I didn't step into or I should have stepped into or lots of different things that you can start to interject.
And at a higher level,
right?
It was my body that was angry because I wasn't listening to her. I wasn't letting her be her true self that she wanted desperately to be. So that's a big
It's really amazing to think that our soul, which is inside our physical vessel, mm-hmm. We could not exist and live on this earth without our physical form because we need gravity to hold us down and to be able to navigate our path. And so we need to also honor and take care of our physical body. Yes. But you do that also with nurturing and learning to discover and love your spirit. Mm-hmm. And I think that we often avoid or evade who we really are. And we only see the physical person that's in the mirror, but we don't really know who we are internally as a spirit.
And that has a lot to do with this clearing that we did today.
Yes.
It was opening us up to that. And there's a very simplistic way that we can begin this process of healing at the organ and gland level. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a problem with something physical in your body, if you put your attention on it and I use Ho'oponopono because that works so beautifully. So say, for example, with my eye, I can put my attention on my eye. I can invite my eye to release all the wounds that were stored in there. And then I can just say, I'm sorry I created this. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I liberate you and I liberate myself. So
it's beautiful.
So it is.
There is so many ways. For me, what I do also is I put my intentions. If we could just take a second, let's all connectively try to bring the energy on a cellular level to Jean's eye, which is her left eye. Mm-hmm. So let's just send the intention from our heart as a soul, not the actual heart physically beating, but out of love and light, that we see her eye, every part, the muscles and the tissues and the lubricants and the lens, and just to see everything vibrate, energetically vibrate, as if it was a perfect tuning fork. And that everything vibrates between both eyes, because we're never just one part of a body, is vibrating and coming alive with such harmony that you're creating this beautiful symphony of energy. Just seeing this happen, anyone that's listening to this, seeing her eyes vibrating cellularly. And with this vibration, there is so much, think of the music just rising to a higher pitch, a higher tone, vibration. And with that, there's light in this beautiful emerald or violet or whatever light you see, green for healing, that just is in your mind's eye where you're seeing everything vibrating and energetically pulsing. And with this beautiful inner healing that you're creating, and you can do this on your own with your own illnesses within, creating your own health, and then realizing that this will also be extrapolated into physical health of her eyes and her vision, and seeing her actually seeing through her eye the beautifulness of the world, where her sight is actually not just physically seeing a tree, but seeing the tree at a very intimate level, where the tree cells are vibrating and the colors, and you can see the molasses moving up and down the tree as if it was blood. And the tree is alive, just like her eye is alive, seeing on a cellular level, because everything is a living organism that we are connected to. And just hold that intention, and we'll just pause for a minute. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And so that is a gift I give to you, Jean, and hopefully allows even more healing to continue on the inner and the outer physical.
And I wish that y'all could have seen what I was seeing from my view, inside out.
And what were you seeing?
My,
Here?
vibrating colors and light. It was like undulating, and it was beautiful, and it was I could feel it and I could see it.
Beautiful. And typically when you would see light, would you typically see color recently?
Yeah, sort of. It's usually violet. That's usually all I see. But today it was undulating, all different kinds of color, and and it was moving like a kaleidoscope. It was like, looking through a kaleidoscope, and things were just shifting and changing and vibrating, and I could literally physically feel it, palpably feel it.
And that's what we all created as a mass here, not just me.
Yeah.
The collective whole, when we bring our energies together, we create greatness that's powerful beyond measure. And we cannot limit what we can do, because we are powerful spiritual beings that are extensions. And I love what you said in the biblical verse, that our cells, say it against me, your cells.
That we're all cells in the body of Christ.
I love that. I absolutely love it. I've never heard that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And if we're a cell of the body of Christ, then Christ can heal. And
Absolutely.
we can heal, because we are part of that spirit.
And you know what else I think is, I just got this, it's so cool, is that people are going to be looking at this in different times. Correct. And there is no time, but this is going to continue healing, and I'm going to get this bombarding of this wonderful energy when I least expect it. It's going to happen, and that is just so cool. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, we didn't plan on this, but and again, every one of us has healing capabilities, and we're also walking our purpose. And for me, I'm doing my soul purpose, what I know, how I'm impacting people through my book and my healing work. And Jean, you're doing it in a beautiful way that's specific to you. And you're growing into a new avenue, a new way of creating such greatness in the world through your new book that you're going to start to write, which is just really wonderful. I'm excited about that for you.
Thank you.
So I think this has really been remarkable. And some of what Jean has said today, because she's been on a couple of my summits, she's never shared, I believe, with the world. And I don't think everybody knows that she's actually writing a new book. So if you're hearing this is a brand new video, and you're hearing some very interesting, brand new insight, remember, which allows us physical sight. And all of you have passion and purpose within you. And if you're watching this, I hope this brings to you an avenue, a vehicle for your inner sight, your inner purpose and passion to be revealed in a very physical and beautiful way that miraculously changes your life and so many others. Do you have any closing words, Jean?
Well, I just want to thank you so much. And also to your viewers, if one of the things that I offer as a gift is if you go on my website, there's a place where you can, it's a button that says Start Now, and it will enable you to have a free 15-minute clearing with me. So it just takes you into my time trade, and we'll schedule it out. And I'm happy to do sort of what I did with the InnerSpeak cards. I'm happy to do that for your viewers, no charge, my gift.
That's great. And why don't you just say what the website is again, Jean?
Sure, it's JeanAdrienne.com, JeanAdrienne.com.
Perfect. And I encourage you all to do that. And meeting and getting to know Jean is just a wonderful gift in itself. And to all of your inner healings, may you find everything you're looking for and things that are beyond your understanding that will come to you. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jean, as always. I love spending time with you, and I appreciate you so very much.
Thank you, Cindy.
Blessings to you all.